What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have Bitcoin sitting at $60,679, breaking out on the 4-hour downtrend yesterday. We also have the SPY sitting at 530.73, and stocks are continuing to move higher. We also have the Qs sitting at 448. 28. So today I want to discuss what that means for Bitcoin stocks and commodities, as well as the IWM. And after we have the jobs numbers points to a Wall Street temper tantrum. So we're going to discuss what all this means. Is this the start for the Bitcoin bull run? And what stocks, commodities, and cryptos we can be looking at to make a profit? Plus, I've got a little stock for you that could potentially do anywhere from 50 to 300%. So we will get into that. You know what to do. Be sure to hit the like button if you want to see more. Be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. So I wanted to start off with this report here. Um, if we just scroll down, uh, this says it all right here. Even before the markets closed on Monday, some Wall Streets were already saying the market bloodbath was an overreaction to slowing jobs growth. On Tuesday, a small bounce lent some credence to that thesis, while yesterday's market retreated. Markets didn't retreat, sorry guys, but on Thursday, shiny unemployment data appeared, giving a clear sign to investors that basically this was an overreaction. So, what does that mean for stocks, commodities, and crypto? I wanted to start off here with Amazon because I wanted to point out a reoccurring theme. And once you spot these patterns, then you can basically use it to trade any asset class, really. It is all pretty much the same. But what I wanted to point out here is we had this gap fill, and we saw this on several stocks and indices. Right here on Amazon, it was at 161 approximately. And basically, we know that the markets like to fill these inefficiencies. And so that may have been part of what drove these prices down to these levels whenever the carry trade uh, news came out. Of course, that is a bigger issue and something we'll have to still keep an eye on and could continue to unwind. But that will probably take some time. I still think we have at least another 6 to potentially 18 months for these markets to continue to go up. And of course, we'll have to keep an eye on the price action to determine that. But yeah, I wanted to bring up Amazon here for another reason as well. So Amazon is setting at 166.80, and I wanted to zoom out here on this chart because this whole bull run has been led by the Mag 7, including Amazon. And if you look at this here, Amazon is one of the only ones that never really, it did break the previous all-time high, but it was only very briefly. It was only for uh, a few weeks here. And so the reason I wanted to point that out is because typically most of these stocks will react similarly. And so that means that I do think you should see much higher prices for Amazon. And if you just take a look at this giant cup and handle pattern here, well, if you take a measurement on this, from the bottom of the cup to the top, you can see that gives Amazon a price target of nearly $300. Now, some other estimates out there are calling for 200 or 205. I think that's probably more realistic, at least here in the short to medium term. But over the long term, I could see Amazon going up to that $300. I do think that is potentially a possibility. Nevertheless, if we just zoom back here, back in on this, what I do want to point out is again, we know these gap fills get filled, and we have this gap fill up here around 184, so we should potentially see that here in the coming days. So that is something to keep an eye on, something traders will be looking at to make a quick profit. Um, Long-term investors, I think this is a good spot buy. I think this is a good spot buy for a lot of these things that I am mentioning um, for the potentially the next 6 to 12 months. I do think that there is upside in a lot of these. Of course, some of these are going to be higher risk. Uh, let's talk about NVIDIA. What is going on with NVIDIA? NVIDIA is sitting at 104.21 and finding support here at our 382. It looks like NVIDIA is probably going to go up and go target that gap fill there around 122. Um, and then we have another gap fill around 126. So we know that those gaps typically get filled, and that um, we probably will see these stocks go to those levels. Um, and I think we will probably eventually break these previous all-time highs. But it's going to take some time to play out, and we may move lower first. Let's go back to the stock market and discuss a few other things that I think are relevant. Uh, First off, again, you've got these gap fills here. This was already hit on the SPY, but we got one up here. So that tells me that there probably eventually we will go up to those levels. And if we just zoom out on the SPY, I wanted to point out a couple things. Brought this up several months ago on this chart, but I haven't really talked about it here in the past several weeks. But I wanted to point out this target we have for the SPY around 600 because that again is taken from the major cup and handle pattern that we had on the SPY, and this chart is not loading. I don't know why. We'll come back to that. The Qs, same thing, gap fills up here. We could move lower and potentially find support. I think what's important here for the Qs is we have this upward sloping trend line, and we'll have to see if we can get back through that. That could act as resistance, and we could reject. And if that did happen, and we continued to put in a series of lower highs and lower lows, well, then I think that would be probably one of the signals that this bull run could potentially be over. So you always want to keep that in mind. Nevertheless, I think that it's probably still about 60% chance that this bull run continues. What else can we look at? We can look at gold. Gold pushing to 24.29 this morning. Gold's been looking pretty bullish here the last couple of weeks, attempting to maybe put in even some more new all-time highs. I think we're probably due for 2600 here soon. But however, we need to hold this level. RSI's on the daily ticking up, so that is a good sign. And I wanted to look at And this one is not going to reload. Let me refresh this chart here real quick because I did want to show you one thing that I noticed on gold that could be a bullish signal is we just got the golden cross here on the RSIs on the weekly time frame. So I could see us breaking to new all-time highs there soon. Of course, that would be good for the gold miners. GDX sitting at 35.72, and so like a lot of these stocks that we're seeing on the IWM, this chart here is very similar to the IWM in the fact that you finally broke this uh, range here that was acting as resistance, flipped it into support, came back down below it, and that area is now acting as support. And you'll see that on several charts that I bring up here. So that's something to keep in mind. So for GDX, we do have a price target of 39 to 41 here in the coming days and weeks. And when I say that, I do think that we are probably at some of these levels where you won't get these opportunities again, and that you will see these stocks um, go and reach these levels potentially here in the next couple of weeks. Uh, we see that in a lot of the data. It does look like there is some bigger moves coming for August. Of course, we could get another pullback. I think potentially in September. We'll have to see then if that is a higher low or a lower low. I think both of those are potential. However, for the long term, I do think things are still bullish here. Another stock we can look at is Coinbase, and Coinbase is sitting at 194.52. Again, similar pattern. You had this area right here that was acting as resistance, flip that into support, um, and we nearly lost that area when the Bitcoin price came down. But now that things are moving to the upside, I think we have found a local bottom here potentially for a lot of these stocks and cryptos. But we could see Coinbase going back up to that 250 to 275 level here very soon. I just wanted to touch base on the IWM because I think that's important to look at as well. Again, very similar chart. Uh, Resistance becomes support. We have fallen through a couple times. Nevertheless, we are back above that and we are back above this trend line here on the IWM. And that's why I think a lot of these small cap stocks are getting ready to make a big run here in the coming days and weeks. A couple other small cap stocks we can take a look at is Cybin. Cybin is a pharmaceutical company that uses like psychedelic type medication to help patients. And so the reason I wanted to mention the stock like this is very risky. It's currently sitting at 26 cents. And but the reason I wanted to mention this is because I think this can go much higher. A couple of reasons. Number one, healthcare is a defensive play whenever we get to a position in the stock market where there are fears of recession. And I think that everyone realizes that there probably is something coming. The question is a matter of time and when. I still think that is a little ways away. But the reason I wanted to mention that is this stock in particular, is you see all these wicks down here on the bottom side representing this is getting bought up over and over and over again. We're sitting on the 786, which is a great potential buy opportunity from a Fibonacci level off this previous pullback. So I definitely could see this going to, like, say 30 cents here in the coming days. If we zoom out on this chart, however, you'll see we did put in a higher low. This is typically the ideal spot that you would look to get in on any trade, and but in particular on this one, if you zoom out even farther, you see where this stock has been previously. And so that is one reason why I wanted to point out that stock. This could easily go back up to the top side of this range, giving you, you know, 100% return. And another thing that I did want to point out is they released some more news about some of their clinical trials. If you haven't caught up on that, you might want to take a look into that before investing, just to get an idea. But basically, they have some more trials that are out and supposed to have results, I believe, in the fourth quarter. So that could be a bullish catalyst for this stock. And some analysts have this stock uh, a price target of $5. So that is a quite a big number for such a small stock. Of course, again, this stuff is very high risk. I don't know that it will necessarily get to $5, but if it even went back up to this top side, again, that's 100%. And if it went to $1, well, that would be 400%. So some pretty crazy gains for that stock. And another stock I wanted to mention, again, this is a small, very small cap stock, high risk, high reward. But whenever you have these types of potential returns, and if you position yourself correctly, then you know people would take these odds every time. And the reason I wanted to point out this stock, number one, we just tapped our upward sloping trend. So for the third time here, if you take, well, there's more than that, but we have hit this trend a few times now. We're also coming up to that previous area of resistance before this stock broke out, and we have this gap fill here. And so you might want to put an alert on your chart for that, but it looks like this stock is going to go down for that gap fill. And if you looked at a lot of these stocks, particularly the big cap stocks, they have already done this. They went down, got that gap fill, and now are moving up. So here in the coming days, this stock could move up, and this is one of those that you could do potentially a about a 40% return just in a couple of days. So I did want to bring that up. Long-term investment, you know, some of these really small cap stocks, you would have to really pay attention to what's going on with the company over the long term. Um, Nevertheless, I do think that this stock will show some upward movement here in the coming days and weeks. If you're interested in buying stocks, commodities, or crypto, you can do so with Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood offers a 1% boost, plus they have 8 times the national savings rate, and they allow you to begin investing and building your portfolio with just as little as $1. They allow you to trade stocks, options, ETFs, and trade commission free. If you're interested, there is a link down below in the description, and they offer crypto such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and gold. All right, guys, let's get into Bitcoin because you probably clicked on this video for the Bitcoin price. And so I just want to go back to this Bitcoin chart. I wasn't able to make a video yesterday, but I saw this when this broke out. Um, and so we know when we break this downward sloping trend, and that typically starts these types of moves. So right now we're pulling back just a little bit. I could see us pulling back potentially down to this $57,000 level if it did come back down there. I think that would be a great entry. But more importantly, I wanted to discuss, is this the start of the Bitcoin bull run that you hear about and so many people anticipate? Marty Party posted this: breaking Putin signs both crypto laws. So they basically passed a couple laws legalizing crypto mining from November 1st, and cross-border settlements and exchanges trading in digital currency. Russia is going full crypto. So what happened a couple of years ago, whenever the war broke out in Ukraine, is that Russia got shut off from the SWIFT system, and they're basically looking for ways to potentially circumvent that. That is bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Excuse me, guys, 1 second. But this is the chart that I really wanted to point out. I uh, showed this chart a couple weeks ago. We have this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern starting to play out. I haven't really changed much on this chart. The only thing I did do is move this upper line here to these peaks. I had it a bit lower previously, and of course adjusted the head and shoulders pattern just a little bit. I had the right shoulder higher than the previous low back here, somewhere around that 50% wick. However, we did go lower, but the reason I wanted to point this out is this is a broadening wedge pattern, and broadening wedges typically play out like this. And so you can take a measurement from the top to the bottom of this pattern and then get a projected price. Go back here to the Bitcoin chart. And so if you do that, that gives you a price target right around $93,000. And of course, if we go back to my other Bitcoin chart here, where we have our levels, and we zoom out, I've got this on the 4-hour. Let me see if I can move this to the weekly. It is going to make me reload this chart as well. I don't know why this does this. If anyone knows more about trading view, uh, drop a comment down below. Maybe I need to potentially upgrade my membership. I don't know. But anyway, we also have this sideways ranging pattern here, and we can take this right here from the point of this previous breakout and move that up here, and that also gives you a price target of around $91,000. So that kind of lines up very well. And I also wanted to show another graphic from Marty Party, and he says it's always 800 days between the markup. And guess what today is? So he posted this chart on the 7th, and today is the 9th. And you see where we are starting. This is why I think we could potentially start to see this bull run in conjunction with our pattern here. It looks like we may have just found the low and we are starting to move into potential price discovery. I think that could be coming here very soon in the coming days and weeks. Typically, it doesn't happen in August. It usually happens a little bit later in the year, but maybe the rate cuts will get this started and people will start to get excited again about Bitcoin and crypto, and you could see it move higher here very soon. Nevertheless, I do think that if it doesn't necessarily happen here, new all-time highs, that is, in the coming days or weeks, so I definitely think that will happen later this fall. This is a chart of the total three, so everything excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, and very similar chart pattern to Bitcoin. We have a lower low, and we were previously ranging sideways, so I suspect that we will probably go back up and get back into this range here in the coming days. That's what Bitcoin just did. And if Bitcoin, um, one thing I've been noticing about Bitcoin is it is kind of a leading indicator which direction things are going, because it is a risk on asset, or considered a risk on asset by several. Some people consider it a store of value. I agree with that over the long term thesis. But for some of these moves, I think that Bitcoin um, just kind of gives you an idea of what the markets are doing. And we saw that the Bitcoin price here on the daily began to sell off here a bit sooner than we saw on the S&P, I do believe. And I just want to clarify that. So that was on July 29th. And if we take a look at the S&P, well, when was the peak? It was actually, so maybe I do kind of take that back. The S&P did peak first, but I think what this is what I was looking at here, is this lower peak that we had on the S&P. Uh, well, Bitcoin sold off before we had that lower peak. So I think Bitcoin, again, kind of acts as a leading uh, indicator to which direction things may go with the markets. And so, with that being said, well, if Bitcoin is now back within its range, I think you are going to see a lot of these altcoins do the same. So that is bullish. What altcoins could we take a look at? My number one pick is definitely Solana, sitting at 153. Originally, I was thinking Ethereum, but I kept hearing people talk about Solana, and this is my real first crypto cycle where I've paid attention to this stuff regularly. I bought Bitcoin and Ethereum back in 2018 and 19. It was a small position, um, but I've been investing and trading in stocks in the markets for about 20 years. So um, I'm really just kind of getting into crypto more here in the last couple of years. Nevertheless, I do think Solana is showing a lot more strength than Ethereum. We have our line of support. We wicked through that, but came back up, and we have a price target of 225 to 250 here in the coming days and weeks. And the reason I think Solana is stronger is you do see Ethereum lost this level and came down much lower. Nevertheless, I still think that there is more, a lot more upside potential here for Ethereum, and I think it's going much higher as well. I do think it will break these previous all-time highs around $4,000 dollars from this previous pattern and potentially go to 7 or 8,000, possibly $10,000. It's hard to say exactly how high. There's some big numbers out there. There's a lot of analysts that have numbers way bigger than that, but I just think that a conservative number would probably be that potentially $7 or 8,000 range. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and many more, you can do so over at iTrust. I use iTrust Capital, and iTrust Capital allows you to buy, sell, and trade crypto, gold, and silver 24/7 in a tax advantage IRA. Plus, they offer low cost and no monthly fee and have over 5,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. There is a link down in the description. And what I like about iTrust is they actually have people that you can call and talk to. That was helpful whenever I set up my account with them. So it's not strictly all automated. You can actually call and talk to them. All right, guys, it's Friday. Weekend is almost here. Uh, Be sure to go check me out over on X at mindofthefinancier. I am Mind of the Financier on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, so you can follow me there as well. Nevertheless, I post charts or anything that I see that has to do with stocks, commodities, and crypto over here in real time. So be sure to go follow me over there. And until next time, guys, take care, have a great weekend, be legendary, and peace out.